after Chamkila, which I absolutely love, this is your first feature film, and then a theatrical release after 6 years.
Yes.
Tell us about how you found the story. I read that it's a real life story, inspired by a real life story.
Yeah. The story of Main Vaapas Aaunga is based on facts, based on the experiences of a lot of people, mostly those people that have seen partition with their own eyes, who had been displaced because of partition. And I heard many stories straight from the horse's mouth while shooting in Punjab for Chamkila, while shooting in Punjab for other films, and all over the country actually. People that have seen partition, barely, and few of them are alive now because most of them have passed away. And I have seen that many of them also have a memory issue, but they are obsessed with the time of pre-partition, of undivided India. And most of their thoughts, most of their happiness seems to lie on the other side of the partition time, in pre-partitioned India, in undivided India. So it was very strange also because we have seen films on partition, but most of those films have been about the unfortunate events that have happened. They have been about tragedy and strife and hatred also. But what I realized while meeting these old people, men and women, is that most of the time when they are talking about those times, they're talking about pleasant things. They're talking about their friends, about their old houses, pieces of furniture, sometimes dolls and playthings, and many times also about other people that they had loved or admired. Someone told me about a certain girl that had used to come to his father's shop, and he used to look at her and he remembered her and he remembers her now. Sometimes with these issues of memory, these old people forget the names of their own children, and they forget their own children, but they don't forget the infatuations of early days. This is such a strange thing. And this lady had written, I think, about a man that used to cross the street and she used to wait for him to cross at the balcony or the window of her house. And this is pre-partition India. And 78 years later, today, she still remembers that man. So I think there is something very precious in the feelings of love that you carry in your heart all your life. I feel that this kind of warmth, this kind of picture or memory is your constant companion that gives you refuge, shelter and joy all your life. My film is based on such stories.
Imtiaz, we tend to generalize and say, okay, Imtiaz Ali makes love stories. Obviously, they are not mere love stories. You are trying to say much more. You pack in a lot more in your stories. What is that you wanted to say, convey through this one?
Through this, I wanted to convey actually the feelings of the generation that is passing away.
Yeah.
In fact, I was in a rush to make this film and release it sooner so that some of them at least that are still alive can know about this film, can perhaps watch it, and so that we can communicate to them before they all go away that we know, we feel you. We understand you have been the most dynamic generation. We understand that you've gone through so much hardship, unimaginable. We don't know how we would have dealt with it. So we hear you, we understand you, and we love you, and we are trying to understand what it would be for you to have gone through that experience and to have lived this whole life carrying the tenderness of your early romances in your life. So, and it is actually the love story of a person, of two people, but in a way it is also the love story of an entire nation that was being divided. The feeling of loss is not only for a girl, it is also the loss of home, the loss of land, the loss of dignity, the loss of class. Can you imagine that people that lived in respectable houses, some of them in palatial houses, were reduced to living on street sides, on sharing one room in which 10 or 20 people were living? For years and years, people have lived in refugee colonies, in tents. These people were very, very prolific and rich and very well looked after. They had to completely undergo, at the middle of their lives, a completely different change of lifestyle, and they survived it and they excelled in it, and then they became successful. So it's a very, very big thing. But usually in such a tragic situation, what sees you through is not hatred. What sees you through is love. What sees you through is the tenderness and feelings of happiness, which, like poetry, like a precious jewel, remains in your heart all your life. So with this sentiment, I started making this film, and this is an ode to the veteran generation that has seen Partition.
And was Diljit a natural choice for this character? Also, I felt like, Chamkila was such an immersive role and character, and which must have been very demanding on him. How was it preparing for this character?
Yes, this was a completely different approach for me and Diljit working together, while Chamkila was something where, although Diljit knew Chamkila very, very well, but Diljit is nothing like Chamkila personally. He is of a different education, he is of a different time, he is of a different sensibility, but he became Chamkila. He had to step out, look different, he had to wear a wig, he had to wear a get-up, he had to be a someone else, look like Chamkila. In this film, the exterior look of Diljit does not change. In fact, the way that he is in his body language, the way he is in life, in this contemporary life, many things are similar. More than even that, the sensibilities of Diljit and Nirvair are very, very similar. The predicament or the love in the heart of Diljit and Nirvair are very, very similar. So I think the challenge for Diljit to play Nirvair was the similarity, that it was very, very close and very similar, which is a great thing for the film. And which is also a great thing because in Chamkila, he was playing somebody completely different from himself. His sensibilities are very different from that of Chamkila. His behavior is very different from that of Chamkila. So it's a nice experiment. It's a nice thing that I could work with the same actor in such different approaches. And every time I look at the edit, I see the performance of Diljit and I realize what a fine actor he is. Every time I'm at the edit, I realize what a pure actor he is and what a disarming quality he has as an actor. I hope more and more people become like him.
And this is the first time you are working with Naseeruddin Shah.
Ji.
I was wondering, he plays an Alzheimer's patient in The Father, in the play which he himself has directed, and he plays the. Did that play in any way impact your decision to cast him?
Actually, I have not seen the play.
Okay.
When I went and spoke to Mr. Shah about the role, he asked me, "Have you seen Father?" And I said that luckily I have not. I have seen almost everything that he has done on theatre and on stage recently, but I somehow missed Father. And then after that, I took it upon myself to not watch it because I did not want to go down the path that he might have taken in Father. And I never wanted to tell him as an actor that you should not do what you did in Father or you should do what you did in Father. That's not what I wanted to do. So I didn't see it at all.
Okay. And how were the scenes between Mr. Shah and Diljit? Because I believe from the trailer that they have quite a bit of scenes together.
Well, a lot of people that have watched the film already feel that those might be the highlight scenes of the film. The ones where Diljit and Naseer are talking to each other. And it's the conversation between a grandson and a grandfather. The grandfather, who's riddled with the Alzheimer's syndrome and memory issues and the onset of dementia and all of that. And the grandson, who understands that the grandfather is trying to express something but does not have the ability to say those things properly because of, there's something called reactive aphasia. There are these ways where there are these conditions where people understand things properly but are unable to express it. They don't have the control over their mechanisms. So in this failing condition, Diljit's character is struggling to find out what the grandfather's story is. Mm-hmm. So I feel that these scenes are very interesting also because there is some sort of bogus language that Naseer's character speaks.
Okay.
He speaks about Martians, he speaks about cricket matches, he speaks about real characters like Hitler and Kapil Dev and all of that in a very different context. So it's also funny, but it's also sensitive because he is in a certain condition. So I think those scenes, and this is where I feel Diljit has really helped because he was so real. He was not trying to make either comedy or tragedy out of it. He was just being so real and purely reactive to the way Naseer was acting. So I feel those scenes are very interesting.
Also, they come from two different school of acting. Naseer, of course, more rigid and trained.
Yes.
And
yes.
Diljit is not a trained actor. So how is it to find the balance?
It was incredible, actually. Those are very, very different types of actors. Naseer is perhaps the most trained and the most accomplished actor in our country. Diljit is perhaps the most instinctive actor in our country, the most real performer in our country. So these two coming together was a very huge experiment for me as a director. But it only worked because both of them had regard and respect for each other. Naseer had seen Chamkila. Luckily, he had liked it also, which is why he was keen to work with me in Main Vaapas Aaunga, and he was very happy to work with Diljit in Main Vaapas Aaunga. Diljit, on the other hand, had, like all of us, seen Naseeruddin Shah's films and respected him as an actor, as a senior actor. But they were very good with each other personally. That really helped.
Imtiaz, you are amazing with young actors. You get something out of them. So how did you choose zero in on Vedang and Sharvari? And then what is the kind of work that you did with them?
Firstly, I needed actors of a certain age. And I knew that the roles are very important, very big, very difficult, dynamic. But the age had to be a young age because we were talking about Naseeruddin Shah being 95. And 78 years, as many years as have happened from Partition till today, is the number of years that this character has already spent after Partition. So if I have to show scenes of undivided India, then he must be 95 minus 78, which is around 17-18 years. So I had only a select group of actors that I could choose from. Luckily for me, in this select group of very, very, very young actors, there are many prolific actors that are emerging. And I'm very excited at the prospect of working with all of them. Mm-hmm. And Vedang, of course, I've seen him in Archies, but he came through to me when I met him as a very earnest performer. A person is a classy performer, And what I really admired about him in my experience of working with him is that he does not pretend act. He doesn't nakli acting nahi karta hai. He's always real to the moment. And that is the most important thing for a young actor to keep in mind. And it was, I think, every box he ticked ultimately in this character. And Sharvari has this natural spunk and grace and look and feistiness, which was very, very important for Jia, because this Jia is a girl with a certain type of an attitude. And I think the day I saw Sharvari and the day I met her and spoke to her, I realized that shit, this is the girl that I want to have for this part.
What to your mind is a perfect love story?
I don't know what a perfect love story is, and I'm not trying to make a perfect love story either. I'm just in the process of telling stories and writing the stories that come to my mind naturally. However, most of those stories end up having some sort of a romantic angle in them, and that is for me a discovery. I don't know what a perfect love story is, and I don't even, this whole word perfect love story also sounds very boring. I feel it is imperfections that we enjoy more because they are more dynamic, more dramatic, and the imperfections of faith, the imperfections of desire are the ones that I'm trying to assay in my films.
Once again, you are teaming up with Irshad Kamil and Mr. A.R. Rahman. So, what kind of alchemy, if you can let us in, like what kind of alchemy happens when you three work together?
So with Irshad and me, we go back a long time and we have betakallufi with each other. We don't mince our words. He does not mind saying something to me which he knows I won't like. I don't mind saying something that he won't like to him, because both of us know exactly what we are working towards. We are working towards a better song, a better film, a better line, a better antara. And neither he never finishes. He can give options, he can change, he can improve till the release of the album. His issue is he wants to improve, and I also because I'm so informal with him, I keep telling him that this is very good but you can do better. And I have this line that I keep giving him, that acha hai Irshad, but it's not the Sahir Ludhianvi level. And or acha hai but Ghalib likhte kya ye? You know, that kind of thing I keep saying to him, so just to harass him and to egg him on. And so it's very nice to work with him. Even when I work with Preetham, Irshad has been my constant companion. But with Rahman sir, it becomes, the three of us become very interesting. Usually Rahman sir and I have chats about the film, and simultaneously and separately Irshad and I have chats about the film. We approach it through different ways. So I'm talking to both of them separately for a long time. And it's only after a while that the three of us sit and start to work together. With Rahman, the best thing is there is no procedure. It can start anywhere, it can end anywhere, it can go anywhere. So nowadays, I think sometimes after discussing a few things and after having a little bit of an idea about the melody of the song, we try to get some sort of a phrase or a sentence from Irshad that then Rahman crafts the song on.
I'm just... 21 is a film I loved, absolutely loved, and many did, but it still did not do great things, I did not have a great success at the box office, rather unfortunately. Does this kind of, does it somewhere reflect that we might be moving away from love and empathy and going for spectacles and scale?
No, I don't think so. I feel that if people like a movie, it is not because of statistical reason. It is not because of a strategic reason either. If people like a movie, they like it because they like it. There is no explanation to it. And people are also not so fixed about the kind of movie that they want to watch and not watch. Every time a good film that comes through, when I say good, I also mean popularly good. when such a movie comes through, people like it. And I have seen in my life, it has always been the case. People in the 90s for some time believed that action is working and love stories is not working, and then came Maine Pyar Kiya, and everybody and their uncle saw it 20 times, right? So I think rules are just made for the convenience of some people who just like try to find some calculation retrospectively on the success and failures of films. Every film that works is a pleasure for everyone in the film industry. Every film that does not work is something disappointing for everyone in the film industry. And the success or failure of one particular film is not a checkbox or a refusal to its whole category of films.
But do you think the overdose of nationalism some way might be swaying away the audience?
Yeah, but I
more
think,
softer narratives or slower narratives.
Yeah, I feel that an overdose of anything will turn the audience away. An overdose of any emotion is going to turn people away. But one has to be true to the film they are making. That's what I know. Like, I try to not analyze these things. I try to be true to the film. That despite the market trend, despite the analysis paralysis, I have no choice. I'm making this film. Let me try to make it in the best way possible. And I believe that if I can make a film well, people will like it.
So do you think that is the principle we can adhere to?
I think so, because I think filmmaking is a very individualistic thing. It's not a filmmaking is not coming as a filmmaking is not a product of marketing. Filmmaking is a product of art, and if there is something precious in it, then it has to be marketed. You can't think of marketing first and then think about what kind of film to make. That will never work. All the films that have been successful have been individually, artistically strong films.
And what do you think about politics in cinema? By politics, I don't mean the usual politics, but your politics.
There's always politics in whatever we say or do. In every film one makes, there is some politics. And I also don't mean national or state or international politics, but the people together, what their beliefs are, etc., etc. And there is nothing wrong with that. But one has to be very clear of your intent.
Yeah. Because Khan, I think the movie that got feared, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, it also is a pushback against radicalism.
Yeah. I think, I feel that cyclically things happen in this world. There is radicalism, then there is socialism, and then there is the radicalization of communism, and then there is the Iron Curtain, and then there is so on and so forth. I think these things are cyclical. What is happening in the whole world is also happening in and around us. And of course, anything that separates one man from another is something which is, I feel, a fallacy, and it should not stand.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alaka.
Lovely chatting with you.
Likewise.
And yes, looking forward to the film.
I hope you like it.
I'm sure you'll like it.